Welcome to episode 36 of Cinema Curse. Tonight, we're YORGIN it. And by it, I mean, well, the films of Yorgos Lanthimos, including his newest feature film, Kinds of Kindness. His the first collaboration with both his new favorite leading lady, Emma Stone, and longtime writing partner, F. the Miss Philippou. So we're going to be talking about that. I'm your wicked game master, Connor Lloyd Crews. With me, just taking a fucking fat rip on a bong right now, is the Joey Chestnut of talking about movies, Edwin Caesar Gomez. I'm not even the full name there.
Hello, America.
Nice.
I'm ripping a bomb, man.
You just become a zombie.
I became something now, man. Became human, man, again. Like a new breed, man.
A
new breed, man.
Also with us, we've got, it's Daniel.
Hello, everyone.
I'm gonna start. For a long time I've made people say their own names. I'm gonna start giving people their first name, and then they can fully introduce. It's Brian.
What do I just want to do nothing. I'm just gonna stare at you.
Just to stare. That's fine. I'll just move on. And Scott.
Hey everyone, good to see ya.
And it's we're all here. I want to thank Marina Sakamoto not just for getting Edwin's setup in her home right now, but also for the use of her song and her band Shunkin's song Curse off of the EP She Nods, which we used for our opening. It's been 252 days since the strike ended and the APTP still sucks. And I just thought that more than anything, I wanted to open up with a real moment of being serious about what happened Saturday. I think that my thoughts are with the former president, and I just want to say, I'm sorry. I thought I saw a really scary bug. And now there's all this sort of hoopla and hubbub about what happened, and it's all been taken way out of context. So I just needed to say that. How is everybody?
Hanging in there.
Doing good, yeah. The Republican National Convention's in my hometown right now, so
Hell yeah.
That's a great time.
Grinder hits going up.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Wasn't like the Daily Show supposed to be there, but then because of the weekend stuff, they kicked them. They had to go back to New York, and they couldn't do it or something.
What happened was the theater that they were going to do the show out of possibly going to become part of what was known as the hard zone of security.
Hard zone,
Essentially, they wouldn't be able to get fortunate, because it turned out that the theater was not going to be part of the hard zone. But by the time that call was made, they had to decide whether or not they're going to come to Milwaukee or not, and they decided not.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's too bad.
Jon Stewart praised the mayor and stuff, I think, and then just saying I guess they were really happy with everything so far, and they accommodations and whatnot, but they hope to get back there soon and do a show.
That'd be nice. Yeah, that'd be cool. Too bad.
Let's start this Yorg session. I'm gonna change my background for the first of many times. That's about here. So Yorgos Lanthimos, Greek filmmaker, born sometime. I didn't look up this much about him, but he made two first films that I haven't seen. I don't think anyone else has seen, but I think Daniel has actually seen his second film, Kinetta.
I believe, yeah, back before, I think, The Lobster, I was diving into whatever was available on streaming at the time.
Okay, interesting. Because you have it logged on Letterboxd, I noticed. Do you have any recollections of this? So his first film, which is called My Best Friend or something, he's basically disowned. Not because I think it's controversial in any way.
I think it was the only directed it.
It's what?
He didn't write or produce it. I think it's because he was just the director on that one.
Yeah, well, and he was like a co-director too. And so if you go online, like to his website, he doesn't have that film listed. So I didn't check out that film. And Kinetta, his second film, has pretty bad reviews. It has like a 15% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is like, if it had like a 50%, I would have been like, oh, okay, well maybe this is, you know, like kind of a weird film. But 15%'s like actually bad.
That's pretty universally like they've all kind of agreed. Not so much.
From what I remember, it has like little pieces of what he would become. But then I don't know if Dogtooth was next, but then it's such a jump in quality or like idea that it sort of is like a weird. I feel like if you started with that, you may not continue.
Yeah,
if you were like getting into his stuff.
It feels very completionist to me, and there's like a couple other directors I want to complete first, to be honest, that I like more, as much as I like Yorg. And this is, by the way, there's young Yorg.
Young Yorg. And by the way, looking at his birthday, we actually share the same birthday. He was born on September 23rd, so.
Okay.
Wow.
Nice.
Same year?
He's 50 years old, 1973.
Okay.
Years older than me.
So same year.
You motherfucker, you're gonna be old too. I'm telling you. That's it.
Not the way he drinks.
Let's move on to a movie. Edwin, you got to chime in here if you have anything to say. I know you haven't seen any of these movies. I really don't know why you're on. So just if you have anything to say.
You want me to come on?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I've seen the favorite. Is that Yorgos?
That's Yorgos. Yeah. So you can talk when we get there. Okay, cool. I just want you on because I love you, you know, and you're my guy, you know.
I know. I'm very hungry. I'm very high.
Cool.
What's the next step?
Well,
what?
Let's move on to Dogtooth. I'm not going to explain this background choice. It's just, if it's one of those, if you've seen the movie, you'll probably get it. It's a movie reference in the movie. It's not that deep. I just watched this for the first time. If people don't know, Dogtooth is probably his breakout film, his third film, penultimate Greek film. It's about a father and sort of a mother who have been keeping their now adult children in their house their entire life, telling them wrong things about how the world works, and eventually much worse. And it's a fucking nightmare. Who's seen this one?
I just rewatched it again last night, and it had been some years since I did it, and I watched it in headphones, and the one thing I realized is that entire sound design is like from an insane asylum. Like, the biggest thing is crickets. Like, I feel like Yorgos was like, you guys ever have a cricket in your space and like you can't find it and it's just there all night? He's like, do that and then triple it random times. Like, honestly, it's like crickets and planes flying over are the two biggest sounds that happen in that movie. And they're like, but everything he does just kind of like gets under your skin in a way that those sounds shouldn't on paper that they do with everything else going on. And it's is it a weird movie and great. It's almost like it's like his version of The Village in a lot of ways.
Yeah. It's his version of The Village or his version of Room. Or,
totally.
You know, his version of something in that vein. It's weird. Like, so I was so used to his like most fucked up American film, which is probably Killing of a Sacred Deer, American English film, whatever.
Right.
Is still, I would say, considerably funnier than his Greek films. And I don't know. I guess like. Call me crazy, but the movie about the guy imprisoning his family and forcing them to fuck each other was not as funny as I thought it was going to be.
Surprising, right?
And
I get it though. I was actually going to ask, having not seen it, is it funny? That was gonna like be one of my questions.
It's cringy funny a little bit. His Greek films, and it's possible there's maybe a little bit lost in translation that once he moves over into English becomes more pronounced. But I would definitely say the two Greek films I've seen of his are probably his least funny movies, in my opinion.
They kind of have a similar feel to them too, like tone wise. And I think the quick cuts definitely help to that, where you're like, I'm seeing weird, and then it cuts to more weird, and you're like, okay. It's just jarring in a lot of ways that make him just fucking weird movies. Him.
Yeah. And it's all like deadpan too. I think that's sort of a through line. But so some stuff is funny, but you're not really sure if you're allowed to laugh.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah, shout out to, and also I found out that the younger sister in Dogtooth apparently passed away.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, since then. I mean, when I say younger sister, she was, probably in her mid 20s 10 years ago, but it's still incredibly young because she died like a few years ago, or 10 years ago. I don't know, but yeah, Dogtooth. Really good.
I love that. The VCR sequence is my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah,
like so aggressively out of its mind, and just I think the way that father responds to everything is so bizarre in that movie.
Yeah, no, he's a real asshole. He might be, if we did like a oh, thank you for the subscription, Daniel. If we like ranked assholes in Yorgos movies, he might be at the very top. You know what I mean?
I would say so, because he's very proud of his assholeness too. Yeah,
because like there's no like everyone else who's like weird or an asshole, there's like, reasons for it, or you kind of have empathy for them, and this guy's just a complete and total psychopath.
Totally.
Yeah, I was going to ask, having not seen it, is there a reason he's doing this?
It's just about control. Honestly, like thematically, I would say it's sort of similar to Kinds of Kindness in that it's about like what people are like wanting to do to like control and
I think honestly it's a through line through all of his stuff, like that feeling of devotion, a lot of that stuff. Because even just watching Alps right after that, I was like, this honestly feels like a weird continuation of like what the devotion, what you do, and then you kind of like take that in each one of the films, and it really does that through line for sure.
Well, do we want to move on to Alps real quick? I got this. I got Prince in the background.
Oh, can we go back to one thing about Dogtooth?
Okay, just say it right now.
Frank Sinatra.
Oh yeah. That's pretty funny.
The grandfather is Frank Sinatra. I mean, that's just the way you gaslight your entire family, is be like, let's listen to Grandpa's stuff, and fucking Frank Sinatra's playing, and the whole family believes like, it's our grandpa. It's just a lot of time.
That would be sick.
That would be cool. What was that?
I said maybe it'd be sick.
I don't know. Wasn't Frank? You know what? We're not gonna get into Frank Sinatra. Brian, do you want to describe the like sort of premise of Alps? Do you want to describe like what is it that they're doing? This group of people.
They're trying to impress their coach.
Yeah, well, but what is the service they're offering?
I don't think I know what you mean. We're going to it. Say it. You say it, and I'll
in Alps. Well, it's just that Alps is about a group of people who provide a service where they're going to stand in for your dead loved one.
Oh, right.
And that's kind of what the movie's about. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious. You've also seen this one, Danny boy?
Yes.
But a long time ago?
Yeah, pre-Lobster.
Yeah, I enjoyed this, but this is probably towards the bottom. I thought this was a little too mellow. To me, it never like kicked it up a notch, the way that like most Yorgos movies, there's usually something that kind of kicks it into high gear, and there's obviously some dramatic stuff that happens, but I don't know. What do you think, Brian?
I don't know. I really liked at one point. I liked how the dialogue switches to English really quickly. Like it's almost like messing with your mind, going like, "Do I now know Greek?" And this is just the way I'm hearing it. It's interesting because there's no reason for it. You're just like, okay, we're now just doing English, and you're like, are they acting? Are they doing this like weird acting school thing? Like, there's just so much weirdness in that. I actually really like this one a lot. Like, I mean, Dogtooth is better, but I feel like it works off of each other. The two of them is a double feature. Even triple feature, do that with Kinds of Kindness, and your brain would just fall apart.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just dig about what it does, the way it just moved like that, and then the one catalyst at the end, and then just, you know, like, you're the greatest coach in the world. There was something about that motivation, and again, the devotion of what they're doing is interesting.
It also feels, I feel like Dogtooth and Alps share the most with Kinds of Kindness and tone.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Them and Killing, probably.
Yeah.
I'd like to revisit Alps. I didn't love it when I saw it, but I admired a lot about it. I didn't write a lot about it, unfortunately, but I just wrote that I admired things.
I think you'd appreciate it more now.
I liked it, but it's definitely there with Poor Things as like one of the two that I'm kind of a little more like neutral on, where like I don't really see myself revisiting them a lot, whereas like all these other ones I actually like and specifically I like Dogtooth a lot. I've been thinking about Dogtooth. Dogtooth really punched me in the gut, made me feel sick and queasy in a way I hadn't in a while.
It's a great one, and anybody who has seen Kinds of Kindness but not Dogtooth and was looking to jump to that one if you dug it, for sure.
Well, you didn't quite dig it.
Probably just look at the Lobster, you know, favorite. You know, this, and then Killing might be the big push on that route.
Killing's a good middle ground. Alps. Here's the big thing for me, and this kind of gets into spoilers for what the movie does or doesn't do, is I really thought, so like in the main girl, who's like the older sister, the main girl from Dogtooth, she ends up taking over. She's like pretending to be this daughter of this couple, and the daughter's like a tennis player. And I thought, and I know this is really fucked up, I know the sentences I'm about to say are really fucked up, but it seems like something that could happen in a Yorgos Lanthimos movie. I thought we were going to find out that the tennis player was being molested by her father, and that would happen, and that the lady who's pretending to be the daughter was actually into it. And that's how the movie was going to go. And I don't know, like I know that seems like weird to say, like I want something like that to happen in a movie, but I wanted something like I just wanted something more intense than her just like breaking into a house at the end. It seemed kind of like mellow, I think.
I thought it was interesting because she was so programmed, and that was the thing when she goes into that house. Like, it didn't matter that she'd already been like beaten by this weird rod, because he loves to just have characters beaten in the head. And then all of a sudden didn't matter. The devotion of like, I'm still here, I'm doing this, just didn't matter. Even as she's getting dragged out of the house and like you are garbage, you are nothing to this, and just the devotion is still 100% there. It was just kind of fascinating, I think, from character study point more than anything else.
I think on a rewatch I would like it more, because I would know going in that it's like the mellow one. I think comparatively, like it doesn't. I feel like this movie compared to a lot of his other movies doesn't make you ever feel like sick. You know. Let's move on to a movie Scott can join talking about. The Lobster.
Oh, nice. That's a good one.
And who wants to talk about The Lobster, to explain the premise of The Lobster? Scott?
Yeah, I guess I haven't seen it. To be fair, I saw it once when it came out, but as I recall, premise is that it's a society where if you are not matched up with your soulmate by a certain age or a certain cutoff time, you are turned into an animal. And so Colin Farrell is our main character, and he's at it's not a resort, it's like it's like a thing that would only exist in the context of this society. It's like this resort / hospice, essentially. Yeah, sort of. I mean, that's essentially like it's people who are on their last leg, in the sense that if they do not find their soulmate, they will, like, the clock is ticking. Like, they are now are going to turn into an animal, whether or not they want to or not, because they have not found their soulmate. And Colin Farrell is the main character in search of his soulmate. And that's like saying that sounds like it's going to be like a romantic movie or something. It is not. It's a Yorgos movie, and everything is weird.
I would say that compared to a lot of his other movies, it is comparably romantic. Like maybe Poor Things is a little more romantic, but this is.
I don't know. I would say The Lobster, I would say The Lobster is definitely more romantic. It's more straightforward as the idea of like this relationship thing.
Yeah, Poor Things has like the secondary romance stuff with her and the McCandless character. I forget you know what I'm talking about. The guy she ends up with by the end, but it's still more of a self-empowerment thing. Like the end of the movie is her by herself, you know, whereas like The Lobster is them together.
Right.
Yeah, but it's a rom-com. It's a Yorgos rom-com essentially.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. For me, it was my introduction to him.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it. I in a sense, like I haven't been like compelled to go back to it, but not out of distaste for it. I remember that was like I think this is post. It had to be post for Colin Farrell in Bruges. Yeah. But it was just another one of like a reminder of like, oh, he's weird. He's actually like weirdo character actor. He's not like the straight-laced leading man they tried to make him back in like 2003. Like,
you literally, I've written almost these exact same sentences down in my notes.
Okay.
Yeah. 100%
this
agree.
One was a big, and that's probably my biggest takeaway from that movie was just how like he plays like a real guy, you know, and especially like in this world, I remember him being. Rachel Weisz is in this, and he really wants to end up with Rachel Weisz, but her problem, or like she shows no emotion, and so I enjoyed that, you know, just like the performance he got out of all the actors. Rachel Weisz is in that. I believe John C. Reilly's in that one too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and Olivia Colman.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
it's my favorite of his still. It was the one that like I think works for me, and like the way he plays with satire. I think having this like super clear split of two things, like it's sort of two movies featuring the same characters, and that works the best for me in The Lobster mode. I think partially that's performance, but also just the chemistry that he toys so much with, like kind of the coldness of humans often, and like this sort of lack of emotion through deadpan, or like expressing themselves not through typical like human emotions, like very alien, and this one feels like people struggling with that as part of the plot too, that I think take to, and I think it's the funniest. Personally, I think it's the funniest outside of maybe Mark Ruffalo's performance in Poor Things being like just pure kind of cold.
I would say in general, I think his English language stuff is a lot funnier than his Greek stuff.
And mostly more accessible too. I mean, especially if you were to have a good entry point outside of Poor Things. I mean, The Lobster, and then we'll talk about it. The Favorite are definitely the two entry points that are like the most accessible.
Yeah. Well, and Poor Things, and I would say Alps. While it isn't like funny in the way these are, I would say there's also nothing like horribly distasteful that happens in it all. No. You know what I mean? Where like
I think with Alps, what I wrote for my letterbox was just like, this is when aliens come to Earth, they go to the Yorgos School of Being Human, and this is just a documentary of their days and their experiences with their. That's what it feels like. Everybody's trying to be human in this movie, and no one's there yet.
Well, unless people have something more to say about The Lobster. Speaking of people attempting to be human, what? Go ahead.
My only other comment I love was I saw it, and then I took Rachel to see it, and she loved it for half the movie, and the second half was like, what is this movie? Just like, because it's not like a thing that it kind of preps you for, like it's going to take this chart. It's just like a complete 180, and if that fails you, because it is really jarring if you're sort of vibing with things, it is a insane thing. I think it pulls it off, but it is an insane concept.
See, I don't even remember like the twist of it, like from when I set up, like what, like I do kind of remember like what you're talking about, but I don't remember what's the first.
It was like they're not the compatible people until they run away together.
Yeah.
And then it becomes like a runaway, like dark.
That's
thing.
right.
it has an insane. I won't spoil the ending.
No, I remember. Yeah,
it becomes like the middle part of AI.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's a
fair comparison.
No, I absolutely forgot about that part of the movie, but yeah, okay.
Well, speaking of people acting like robots or whatever, let's move on to this Queen's only Yorgos collaboration, The Killing of a Sacred Deer. The Killing of a Sacred Deer. I know the premise doesn't get established till halfway, but I always think I don't know. I feel like it's not really a spoiler to say what the actual premise is, like what gets laid down.
It's pretty much on the trailer right away. Like you realize, oh, that's what's happening. I mean, he comes right out and says what he's doing.
Yeah, the Killing of a Sacred Deer is a movie. It's a family film. It's about a family. Colin Farrell, Nicole Kidman, and their 2 kids. And Colin Farrell's a surgeon, and Barry Keoghan, boy psychopath, as a guy I follow on Letterboxd said. Barry Keoghan is the relative of someone. His dad died under Colin Farrell's surgery, and now Barry Keoghan has put some sort of. They never get specific about what it is, but some sort of curse on his family, and his son and then his daughter and his wife are going to stop being able to walk, and then stop wanting to eat, and then start bleeding from their eyes, and then die. And the only way that he can solve this problem is by killing one of the 3 of them. Boy, is this movie funny.
Really.
I did half a rewatch the other night, and but weirdly enough, my friend had to run to drive their other friend to the hospital. In the middle of it. Yeah, this one rocks. This is probably my favorite.
It's mine too, for sure. Yeah. I mean, it's so dark, but then does the weirdest, quirky things. It's such a bizarre movie. And Nicole Kidman's fantastic. I mean, I would love to have seen her.
Yeah,
absolutely. But because Nicole, this is her only Yorgos output, I love her in it.
The scene where there's a scene. This is towards the middle. Also, I won't get into the very end stuff, but. There's a scene towards the middle where Colin Farrell is trying to get his son to walk after he's been told, after he's been informed about the curse, and he's just trying to get the kid to walk in the hallway, and you can just tell he's getting fucking pissed at this kid because the whole emotionally Colin Farrell is he's mad at them because he's mad at himself because in a lot of ways it's his fault. I mean, in every way, it's his fault. And
he has that line, even the way he projects, because he's like, a surgeon doesn't kill a patient, and an anesthesiologist kills a patient, but a surgeon never kills a patient. He had to push away, this isn't my shit. Why is this happening to me? And that's really his. And
he's trying to force this 8-year-old boy, maybe 10-year-old, 12-year-old, somewhere in that range, in that ballpark. He's just trying to force him to walk, and the kid just can't. Yeah, picks him up and it's just doing this and getting fucking pissed at him, and it's awful, but it's also really funny because it's just the most fucked up thing. You're just emotionally, you're just what the fuck.
Well, and it's also shot in the hospital, so there's really high ceilings, and it's very cold because of the flooring and everything. So the way he just drops him, and you hear this slap against the floor with his skin smack. It's just an aggressive scene for what it is, but it's just it sticks in my brain, though. I can picture the way the framing of everything is in it because it is that weird.
And the movie kind of escalates on that kind of emotional wavelength until by the end, that last scene, I'll say this without spoiling anything, with the spinning is excruciating.
Unbelievably fun, but I didn't get to see this in the theater. I need to see this in the theater for that sequence.
Oh, it'd be so funny to watch this in a theater full of people who have no idea what they're getting into. I had a friend who actually saw this when it came out, and I didn't see it until way later, and I remember their reaction was very negative. It was very I don't understand who this movie is for, why this movie exists, what this movie is about.
And it's a weird one to follow Lobster with, because if you hadn't seen anything other than Lobster, because Lobster was kind of like a slight indie breakthrough hit for him, and going with friends to see this after their only knowledge base being Lobster was unreal. They were very shocked by it. It's still black comedy, but just feels a different type of dreadful.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. And great, yeah, I'd love for him to work with Barry again, Nicole again.
Oh, yeah.
Bill Camp is in it. Great character actor. Yeah.
Alicia Silverstone.
Oh yeah, Alicia Silverstone.
What?
Yeah, she's the mom.
She's Barry Keoghan's mom.
Yeah, and like Barry Keoghan the whole time is trying to set her up with Colin Farrell's character, like the new dad, and he's like. He does like a thing where they're like, "Come on over for like a date." Oh, I'm getting tired. I'm gonna go up into bed now. So he like leaves them alone to like make out or whatever he thinks is gonna happen with my new dad. It's so out of its mind.
It's a great weird movie.
Absolutely. It's definitely the one of his I think about the most for sure.
Yeah. I watched it for the first time earlier this year, and then like I said, when we did Poor Things, because I was like I wanted to catch up a little bit, and I'm glad we're doing this now, and I've been able to catch up on most everything else. Yeah, anything else about Killing?
See it. That's it. It's a great one. It's on Max right now, I think.
It's a good one, to quote Gordon Cole. This is just a shot from The Favorite because I didn't put a gif of this dance in the opening, but it's a very good dance. The lean back dance from The Favorite.
And real quick, I'm so sorry to do this, Connor, but like I had to go back because you just said the dance. Got to go back to Dogtooth and just talk about that dance sequence real quick. That is the most out of its mind thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It's wonderful and beautiful, and see it just for that. Yeah. Anyways, back to
Favorite was my first York experience. Edwin, we're talking about The Favorite, a movie you've seen. Do you want to tell us the plot of The Favorite?
You're on mute, Edwin.
You're on mute, buddy.
Edwin, you're mute.
Still on mute.
So The Favorite?
Mm-hmm.
It's like Barry Lyndon meets The Birdcage. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw this once in theaters. I like it a lot, but I don't really remember it super well, other than it's like a kind of a love triangle movie in the context of a like these aristocratic women and power and stuff.
And again, the theme of devotion. I mean, again, with that ends up being the whole thing, is who's going to worship, Olivia Colman's character.
Ryan Short.
A lot of vomiting.
I remember there's like Rachel Weisz was great in this, and there's like a great scene.
Did the subtitles disappear?
When she when she's like explaining to Olivia Colman's character, like, sometimes I have to like say no to you, or like sometimes I have to like do things you don't want to do because you don't understand that you do want them. And like just her like explaining her devotion was so clear of like, like just like really well done of like what it means to like love somebody, of like, yeah, Emma Stone can like give you what you want, but I can actually like give you what you don't know you want. And I like the whole thing. It was funny. I'd say of everything he's done, probably the most mainstream. Like, I wouldn't even call it weird. It's possibly more sexual than like most mainstream movies, but other than that, and queer because it's all women. Yeah. But like, I don't think it's particularly a strange movie.
No, I mean, it's just it does some quirky things within the period piece factor, but other than that, it's not like it's a weird movie on paper.
But even those, in a lot of ways, I think those quirky aspects of the period piece almost make it more accessible because it makes it feel very modern. These are kind of unlikable characters in a way that are appealing, I think, to people as opposed to.
And you see that right away when Emma Stone's just dropped into the mud pile of like when we first see her character. I mean, I feel like everything from that is just, it's like those little digs and weird things that he has laid in, but it's super accessible.
But it doesn't feel like it's accessible while sacrificing. Like, it doesn't feel like Yorgos made a mainstream thing. It felt like he happened to make something that was a little more accessible, like these power dynamics, but every single thing still feels like him. Like,
it did feel like he was learning how to like make movies on a studio dime, while like keeping his voice. It
is. I will say, he didn't write his first film, the one that he co-directed. His second film, Kinetta, he wrote by himself. Every other film except The Favorite and Poor Things, he co-wrote with Efthimis Philippou. So this is one of the first two of his American films. And so I do think that The Favorite, part of the reason I think The Favorite and Poor Things are a little more accessible is because they aren't written by the Greek freaks, as I'm going to call them.
So. No, definitely. It's not like it's like a story through his filter, as opposed to some of the other movies that are just like pure Yorgos, pure uncut Yorgos.
Totally.
But Emma Stone's great in this. I remember, like I could see why he wanted to like he found her as like a continued muse. He used her really well, like he uses her likability as like a weapon, and I think that's really well done in this. And she's able to like pull out different parts of her, like just as an actress that you don't necessarily see in some of the more mainstream movies. So I definitely enjoyed this one.
Also, beyond Emma and Olivia, I think Nicholas Hoult is incredible in this too.
Yes, yeah.
What a great Nicholas Holt's one of those guys that I think we don't appreciate quite enough. Sometimes he's like such a premier A-list character actor of this era, I think.
What's amazing to me about Nicholas Hoult is that I always think of him as like, oh yeah, you cast Nicholas Hoult when you want to cast a weird little guy. And that's funny because he's huge.
Yeah.
He's a giant person. I think he's like 6'4".
Hell yeah.
But whatever I think of him, I just think like, yeah, he plays the weird little dude.
He's just a little guy.
Yeah. I'm excited to see his Lex Luthor. That'll be.
Yeah, hell yeah. Very excited about that. I've always thought it was weird in The Favorite that Olivia Colman was credited first when she's arguably the object of the narrative and not the actual main characters are Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz.
Yeah, I remember, like, didn't she win Best Actress?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like if I were to give it, I would say like Rachel Weisz is probably the main character.
I think Emma and Rachel are like co-leads basically.
And I think they both ended up getting supporting.
But hey, whatever. That's John Leguizamo got billed in front of Michael J. White for Spawn. So what are you gonna do?
Did he really?
Yeah. So I mean, so did like Jack Nicholson for Batman, and
well, that's a little different.
Yeah,
I get that. I get that one.
But yeah. Before we talk about Kinds of Kindness, is there anything else of his that people want to shout out? I wanted to talk about what this is from, his short film Nimic. Starring his only collaboration with Matt Dillon. It's like a 10-minute short film. You can watch it on Vimeo. It's basically just a big joke. Honestly, like it has the scene behind me is basically, and this is without giving it away, the scene behind me is the punchline, and it's pretty funny. And it's worth checking out. And obviously Matt Dillon's always a sight for sore eyes.
He loves working with weirdos too, and I can respect that.
Yeah.
I mean, the non-spoiler is just like, look, if you ask somebody on a train what time it is, you know what shit happens after that.
Don't talk to people.
Don't talk to strangers. That's the message of the film.
Eye contact, you don't ask questions. You sit on that thing, wait for your stop, and get off. Nothing like this would happen. No Nimics.
Well, let's move on to the main course, so to speak. I've got this background from there's Star of Kinds of Kindness, Jesse Plemons in the middle there. Kinds of Kindness is Yorgos' most recent film. It just came out. It is a triptych. I think we'll talk about the three individually in a second, maybe. But it's three shorts, essentially 50-minute long shorts. It's a long movie. all about really devotion, sort of his normal themes and how people are devoted to each other. And I like this one a lot. I think this and Killing are my favorites of his, honestly. I've been thinking about this movie all the time. I think this movie's hilarious. And I do think it's like, I mean, it's probably like, you could probably cut like 5 minutes out of each short and get this whole thing down like 15 minutes, to be honest. But I like it a lot.
When you're going this deep, fucking have those 5 minutes.
Yeah, there's a part of me that on rewatch I was like, whatever. There's also a part of me that like wonders if I do like the structure though. But what do other people think?
I dug it. I saw it by myself, and I sat next to. I had a story that I mentioned I was gonna say, which was that the people next to me. The gentleman in this couple left to go to the bathroom and get concessions, and he was gone for like 10-15 minutes. So he left as the first story was ending and then returned as the second story had started. But I don't think he was aware it was 3. And so he sat back down and was just eating popcorn and stuff and looking, and he was staring weirdly hard, like a Kubrick stare of just confusion. And I heard him, he leaned over and he just goes, "What the fuck is happening?" There's like different names. And she was like, "Oh, it's a different movie now." She was like, "What do you mean?" And then she was trying to explain that the credits had rolled through one of them and now it was a different movie. And he's like, "With the same people?" And she was like, "Yeah, I think this is like short films." And he was just like flabbergasted. Movie finishes, and as the credits hit after the third one, he was like, they were so upset about the movie.
I've heard a lot of reactions. I've heard like somebody online was talking about how like they got like an older guy like nearly bowled them over, bumped them down, like trying to get out of the theater because he was so mad after seeing this.
I could tell because Scott and I went to like at one of the Wednesday fan events like pre so like
we went like I think it was like opening early on the Dolby.
Yeah,
not playing in all the other theaters just yet. Like tomorrow.
But yeah, and it was a sold out crowd. I just remember like the feeling when that final credit hit, the deafening sound in that Dolby room was pretty amazing.
It was sick.
You could tell like everyone was kind of like that, like I don't think anybody was angry, and there's some people that really clearly enjoyed it.
Sure.
Me personally, I was on the fence. I didn't like it. I didn't really like it, but also I understand. I don't think this was a movie that was made to be liked. Like any like issue I had with it, I feel like Yorgos would be like, yeah, like he wouldn't argue with me.
Yeah.
I'm getting the feel that for me, Yorgos is kind of like Wes Anderson for a lot of people, where like I'm just not on the wavelength. Like I appreciate the craft. Like I appreciated the movie, and like I really do believe it's the movie Yorgos wanted to make. I don't like, and I appreciate the craftsmanship behind it. It just was not that enjoyable. It's not something I necessarily want to return to. But that being said, he does seem like somebody like, I definitely want to see his next one.
Yeah.
There's a thing, I think, because they're each individual, there's like sort of a through line and theme about like devotion or some other like motifs that get repeated, but it's like you don't connect. I feel like they're similar enough that it's not going to win you over as it goes on,
right?
Type of thing.
That is one thing I feel like maybe if I saw it again, I'd see a bit like more than just like, okay, so we're just doing 3 stories about devotion.
Sure.
Yeah. I almost wonder if this had been like half of a season of like Yorgos Lanthimos presents weird shit. Like if this would be like a little, like, I don't know, like what people's reactions would be to it, because obviously this is like not, it's funny, like Poor Things like nearly Black Horse won the Oscars last year. I do not think Kinds of Kindness is going to get
No.
I mean it'll probably get a like I could see it getting like a couple of like nominations, like it feels like the kind of weird movie you could see like a script nomination going to maybe, but not winning. You could see Willem Dafoe getting a supporting actor nomination, maybe probably not winning, but
I just love it.
It's funny. That's something Brian and I were talking about after we saw it. It was like, oh, I guess Poor Things was his one for them.
Yeah,
that was like the mainstream one.
The one for me, one for them, absolutely. And I also wrote that like Searchlight has basically like released a giant merch line where you can get sure you get like everything, like of all the movies in the world. Like I'm like, that's the most Yorgos shit ever. I'm very happy.
Oh, I really want. I'm just gonna throw this idea out there. If somebody wants to, I got those too. It's funny. I thought that was like weird at first, but rewatching it, I was like, especially the first and third segment are kind of. They're not exactly car-centric, but they're kind of car-centric. It's probably his most... It's for like him doing a Fast and Furious movie in a way, you could think.
I think Emma Stone whipping around in that purple Charger is one of the funniest things I've seen.
That's always a funny... It was funny in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Anytime a movie has a character just driving excessively recklessly for no reason, it's always funny, I think. It's always a good bit. And it pays off in Kinds of Kindness. No spoilers, but
I mean, honestly, ending with the Dan. I mean, that shit is so amazing and great, and I love that so much. She's just like, I'm so happy. I know some people are, I wish she wasn't working with Yorgos so much and was going off and they thinking more La La Land stuff. But I am so happy that they're in that pocket together because I think that they're magical.
Me too, actually. I like that. Like he's letting her free play fly, and also I think like. It makes sense that he cast her because she is so funny, but she's also such a great dramatic actress. But like a movie like this, like you need a comedian. Like she nails the comedy of this, and like the dance at the end, like the end, so here's her dancing,
so great.
So one thing about this movie, so as we kind of mentioned earlier, is that each segment has the same actors who are playing different roles, and actually kind of like a structure to it, I would say, where they're the top two performers are Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons, and they kind of, I think interestingly, structurally, the movie kind of does a baton handoff between them, where the first of the three sections, Jesse Plemons is the lead, and Emma Stone is like a major supporting character. And Emma Stone doesn't come in until she probably doesn't come in until 40 minutes into the whole movie. Like pretty substantially into it for like the lead build. The second,
and like you said, very very like supporting too when she comes in, for that whole.
The second one,
like the stars here,
The second one, she's not in it at the very first, but she comes in pretty quickly, and she's kind of a co-lead with Jesse Plemons. And then in the third, Emma Stone is the lead, and Plemons is a sort of major supporting actor who kind of in a mirror of Emma Stone disappears about 30 minutes before the end and isn't in the movie anymore. And then Willem Dafoe, Hong Chow, and Margaret Qualley all play major supporting characters in each one. And then these two other actors, Joe Alwyn and another guy's whose name I know I'm going to not be able to pronounce. And I feel like Mamoudou Athey. Sorry. But the three of those two dudes are in all three, but in they each have one in which they're like a big supporting character, and then the other two they're like almost like cameos. And it's kind of a cool structure. Like it does feel like you're watching kind of like 3 episodes of like a TV thing almost. Like you could have seen this being released that way almost.
I dug that structure. I didn't know it was going to be that way going in, honestly. So when it started with like the first title, I thought it was going to be chapters. It wasn't until they started rolling the credits I was like, "Oh, is this what we're doing?"
Yeah,
which I thought that was the genius part, is rolling those credits, because it felt separate from just the title card of chapters. You said, it really did.
No, that was definitely smart, and I like that as like an anthology film. But I think part of the problem it fell into is with a lot of anthology films is that like we got just like the surface level of these stories. And I felt like we didn't get necessarily into like the humanity of it. Like it was just sort of like weird shit. Sometimes we did, especially the first one, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I thought by like the third one, I was kind of like, all right, I think we're good.
Do we want to talk about them individually real quick? So
Sure.
the first section is probably my favorite. The first section stars Jesse Plemons as a like an architect or something who works with Willem Dafoe, and Willem Dafoe every morning gives him a little card on it that says what he's going to eat, what he's going to drink, when he's going to do it, what he's going to read, when he's going to fuck his wife, when he's going to go to bed. And Willem Dafoe asks him, hey, I want you to run into a car so hard that you kill this guy. And Jesse Plemons is like, I'm good, actually. And Willem Dafoe breaks up with him, and then the movie, the rest of it is kind of Jesse Plemons trying to get back in Willem Dafoe's good graces.
Every day, getting by his car as he comes in, just like, I'm here, sir.
Yeah,
you know, just trying to impress him somehow.
Jesse is so Jesse, to me, I love Jesse Plemons so much, and I know he's not going to get like a lot of acting nominations for this movie, but I wish he would, because he's really. He's so fucking funny in this. I think especially in the first part.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
That bit when he's sitting on the ground and trying to attract women by pretending his hand is hurt. Like, oh.
Yeah. That's how he got his wife. That's how he was told to do it. This is what's hitting on women is like.
The scene where he, like, Willem finally breaks up with him, and Willem keeps making him like walk back into the room and say his stuff to him again, and then like halfway through the scene there's like a reveal that this whole time Willem has been wearing the tiniest shorts you've ever seen on a man.
It's a magical sequence.
Incredible stuff. And as is the ending, which I won't get into. The reveal of the song at the end is really fucking funny.
That was when that first hit. That was when I was like, okay, we're into some weird shit already. Like, it's just so out of place, and I love when he does that, because it's like out of place but intentionally done, and it really worked.
Most of my notes on these sections are mostly just the things I think are funny, because there's a lot of stuff I thought was really funny in these. So second section is Jesse Plemons, Emma Stone are a married couple. Emma Stone was like a photographer,
marine biologist,
and she got lost in, like on an island, and it's heavily implied that she had to resort to cannibalism in order to survive.
I don't think it's heavily. I think they literally had a sequence even where you saw flesh and things. I think when they
but to be fair, we also see there's some like black and white shots through the movie that are used as like cutaways for like memory sometimes, but sometimes they're clearly things that aren't real. As is most notable by the black and white end credits of this section. And so like I think the black and white stuff is a little unreliable, you know what I mean? Personally, if I'm being honest, I agree with you that I think the implication is supposed to be that she did do cannibalism, but I do think that the movie purposely leaves it a little vague.
I mean, playing out that you really don't know who she is, like, and then that's kind of what it turns into, is like, is this even my person? Yeah,
Jesse begins to think that she's a different woman, and eventually he has some. She tries to make him food, and he has some tough requests.
I think that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
You're skipping over the thing I laughed the hardest at, which is that he invites their like mutual friends over when she's still missing.
This is one of the things I've written down. This is one of my hardest laughs in the movie.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even hear what happened after. The people next to me were losing their mind too. But there's a cut reveal shot of them that is one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, where they're watching home videos shit.
Yeah, there's a home video reveal. The chief in this section is hilarious when he's like talking to the Mamadou character, where he's like where he's like, you need to tell your friend, like, to get over it. Like, he's treating that that suspect out there like they just fucked for the first time.
That guy was so great. Like, there were only like 2 lines that he delivered, but both were so good.
They're hilarious. And the dog stuff, like I said, so Emma, this is what I'll say. you were talking about the merch earlier. If anybody wants to take this and make this idea, just contact me to get my size and send me a copy. A shirt. So midway through this segment, Emma Stone has a monologue talking to her father, played by Willem Dafoe, in this segment. Probably his least prominent of the three roles. She has this monologue about a dream she had where dogs were in charge. She was in a society where dogs were in charge of people or animals. And I think a shirt, and there's a payoff to this in the end credits, and we won't spoil it. It's really funny. It's maybe the hardest I laugh in the movie, especially considering how fucked up the thing that preceded it is. I think a shirt, kind of like, Brian, you have that shirt that has the Hark Triton speech from The Lighthouse. A shirt that has that monologue of hers and has images from the credits of that with all the dogs and stuff. I think I would buy that immediately. Or like I said, if somebody wants to make that, just you got to give me a copy.
Yeah, we could Redbubble something up for you on that one. That's a good one. We could do.
Yeah. And then third section. Emma and Jesse are cult members who are going around trying to find a lady who can resurrect people from the dead. Hunter Schafer also has a role in this one. I
wish they would use her a little bit more.
Yeah, she's definitely the only reason she's credited on the posters is because she's like a known name, because she has, about as much screen time as some of the other, like the chief or something, basically.
Yeah, she's a test run basically to see if she can rise the dead, and she cannot.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Emma Stone is, sort of not really. She is dedicated to this cult, but she's also dedicated. She has a husband, and more importantly, a daughter. The husband she doesn't really care about, but the daughter she does. She's sort of torn between these two worlds. I love whatever Jesse is doing here. Also, he's playing it kind of. I say this he's playing it a little gay in this one compared to the other two, and I like the vibe he's giving it. And
I was gonna say definitely
vibe for sure.
Like in the first story, his devotion to Willem Dafoe's character never feels sexual.
No,
it's like pathological, where in this one, like.
Yeah.
Part of the devotion is like, oh, he's down. I mean, they all are. That's sort of Willem Dafoe's.
He wants Willem Dafoe's monster cock to, press dude. Okay. He's really good in this. Emma's really good in this. I mean, this is the one where we really get to see her. This is one where she's really featured. I feel like Hong Chao is really funny in this. They do this bit where they test people to see if they're still pure for the cult, and
they're not. Yeah,
and they make them sweat a bunch, and then she licks their stomach, and she's just like, "How unfortunate, still contaminated."
They actually sell one of the merch things is a water bottle that just says contaminated on it.
That's kind of
yeah.
That's kind of cool. And then obviously Willem's Speedo. This movie has multiple laugh moments that are just a reveal of how tiny the bottoms that Willem Dafoe is wearing.
I think the Yorgos and Dafoe conversation is Yorgos will just be like, "Are you down for?" And just immediately, yes, whatever you want, whatever you need, I'm here to do and happily do. That is why he is will always be one of the greatest character actors of all time by far.
Or there's that bit where he's in a robe, and then it pans out to Emma Stone walking in to have her weekly session fucking him or whatever, and then it pans back and Willem is completely nude, just lounging on the bed.
It puts the Jeff Goldblum one to shame, for sure.
I like this movie a lot. My least favorite thing about this movie, honestly, is the name of the whole movie and the titles of each individual movie. Not the title cards themselves, but the actual titles. The three movies are sort of united by this background character known as RMF. He, in the first section, he's the guy who
Mark Qualley opens up the door to.
Yeah, he's the guy that Jesse Plemons is going to kill in the car accident.
Okay, yeah.
And then in the second section, he is the helicopter pilot who saves Emma Stone. And then in the third section, he is the guy, he gets, mild spoilers for this, but he gets resurrected at the very end when Emma Stone eventually finds the person who is actually this prophesized person. And something I noticed, so his initials are RMF. He has no lines. And the three titles, the first title is called The Death of RMF, for obvious reasons. Second is RMF Goes Flying because he flies a helicopter. Third is RMF Eats a Sandwich because in the credits there's a bit where he eats like a hamburger or something.
He pulls ketchup on his shirt. It's just like he's got like a whole hamburger stand outside, just casually eating.
I wish there was more of a through line with it. And what I specifically mean is that in the first section, if you noticed, Willem Dafoe's character's name is Raymond, and both Jesse Plemons and Emma Stone in the first section, their first and last initials are R and F. And I noticed that when I was watching, and I was like, oh, is this a thing where like all of the characters, all of like the main characters, we're gonna have like the initials RMF? And then like no, it's just it's just kind of a gag or whatever, which I would be okay with it as like a background gag, but I wish the titles of the individual sections, if that wasn't like a big through line, like The Death of RMF is actually pretty good, but the other two I wish were a little more specific, to be honest.
I know what you're talking about.
And then also, like, I don't know if this is like a Greek thing, but the movie's not really about kindness, it's about devotion.
Yeah, absolutely. But and that literal term of what is devotion, and a lot of kindness. I don't know. I dug it in that sense of like taking what kindness means. Yeah. And out the window.
No, it's not like these are pretty big nitpicks. I liked it quite a bit. It's really up there for me. Well, I think it's time to move on. To Connor's Wicked Games, sponsored by Chris Isaac. Every week, like Jigsaw, like to play a little game. This week, the Your Gauntlet. This is a format I've used before, but it's been a while. 3 rounds, 12 questions. I'll explain round 1 last because it's you'll see. Round 2 is just 3 multiple choice questions, which will give your round 1 points like a multiplier, and round 3 is a Final Jeopardy style write-in wager question. But round 1, and Edwin, are you playing with us tonight?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, you're listening. Round 1, I'm going to give you the description of something from IMDb. I pulled the description from IMDb. I maybe edited it a little bit. You have to tell me, is that something made by Yorgos or Lanthimos, his longtime co-writer, or is it something else? So is it something made by the Greek Freaks, or is it something not made by them?
Are the Greek Freaks one answer, or are they each a separate?
They're just one answer. One group answer, the two of them collectively. You don't have to specify. You get 2 points for a correct guess and an additional point if you can tell me what I'm actually talking about. And I will say some of these may be log lines that I just made up myself. So, we will start with Edwin. Edwin, when is this a Greek Freak movie or not? When Konstantinos misses a flight and returns home unexpectedly, he finds his wife in bed with his best friend.
I'm gonna say Yorgos.
Brian?
Yeah,
I'll say Greek Freak.
Daniel?
Can you repeat it one more time?
When Konstantinos misses a flight and returns home unexpectedly, he finds his wife in bed with his best friend.
So it's either the Greek Freaks
or not.
Or not. I guess I'll give it to the Freaks.
Scott?
I'm going to say not.
And what do you think it is from? What do you think it is? For a bonus point, if you're right.
Old school.
Well, Scott, unfortunately, you're wrong. This is indeed the description for My Best Friend, the Disowned, first film from Yorgos Lanthimos. So yeah. Next one, Brian. Is this a Greek Freak movie or not? A young boy plants some strange seeds and they grow into a grandmother.
Man, I don't know what the fuck that's from, but it's not a Yorgos. Or I'm fascinated with what that is, though. I kind of got to watch it.
Daniel?
One more time.
A young boy plants some strange seeds and they grow into a grandmother.
I like this concept.
Oh, right.
I'm going to say no, but I can't think of what it would be attached to.
Scott?
I'm also going to say no. And I'm going to say Tuck Everlasting.
Edwin?
The Odd Life of Timothy something, that plant movie.
Oh shit, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah, that's actually what I was thinking of. Not Tuck Everlasting, but yeah.
Wait,
yeah,
so
what I just said.
Scott, you said no. Edwin, you also said no. And Tuck Everlasting.
Yeah.
So no's across the board. You're all right. Nobody got it right though. This is the short film The Grandmother by David Lynch.
Okay, that makes sense then. Cool. Yes. Oh yeah.
Daniel, we're gonna start with you. A man's son is lost while on holiday. Returning home, he and his wife act like they've never had a son.
This also just sounds right up there. I guess I'll say, man, son. I'll say. I'm gonna say no, but I don't know. I don't know what it's connected to.
Scott?
I'm gonna say no. I think that was an episode of Married with Children. That's my guess.
Edwin?
What was the question?
You're muted, Edwin.
What was the question?
A man's son is lost while on holiday. Returning home, he and his wife act like they've never had a son. Is that a Greek Freak movie or not?
Home Alone.
Okay, it's from Home Alone.
And Brian?
I don't know. I think I'm just gonna. Has everybody said no, or what's everybody? Everybody's on one page.
Yeah.
About it. I'm gonna say yes, just to be different.
The no's have it. This one I made up. This one's from my brain.
Junior Yorgos.
Which you could have guessed. You can guess my brain for 1 point. Next up, we'll start with Scott. This short film, it's about a producer-director of erotic films and his mistress, a wannabe singer, making a porn musical.
I'm going to say no. That is Orgasmo. That's Trey Parker movie. Yeah.
Edwin?
Repeat the question again.
About a producer-director of erotic films and his mistress, a wannabe singer.
Orgasmo. Okay.
All right, so
Brian?
I actually know this. It is Yorgos, and it's that it's the disco one. It's your disco. I'm fucking probably butchering it, but it's that one. It's a short.
Daniel?
I like Brian's confidence. I'm gonna write that into that.
Yep, you are correct. Uranisco Disco. This is a short film, a pre-feature one that he did. Edwin, we're starting with you. Set in Los Angeles, the Gucci Spring Summer 2020 campaign stars horses and their human friends in paradoxical scenarios.
Repeat that again. What?
A lot of words in that. Yeah.
Set in Los Angeles, the Gucci Spring Summer 2020 campaign stars horses and their human friends in paradoxical scenarios.
There's horse in this scenario.
Yeah.
I think it's an LA movie. Seabiscuit with Toy Maguire and Jeff Bridges.
Brian?
I'm gonna say it's a Yorgos or a Greek freak, but I'm not sure what it's from. It just sounds like something they do.
Daniel?
Yeah, I want to believe it's like one of those weird like commercial campaigns someone gets hired for like a perfume company that.
Yeah, if it's
so I'd say the Greek Freaks.
If it's Greek Freak, there's nothing else to guess. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm kind of on the same board that I assume that this is like a ad campaign they did. So I would say yes, Greek Freaks.
Well, congratulations, Edwin. You're wrong. Everyone else is right. It is Gucci, of course, a horse, the Gucci Spring Summer 2020 campaign video that Yorgos directed, apparently.
I can't believe I missed that.
It's like what David Lynch was doing those Adidas commercials back in the day, and they just were out of their goddamn mind. Love them.
Brian, the story of a man who feels only happy when he is unhappy, a man addicted to sadness.
I mean, that seems too much straightforward for the Greek Freaks. I'm going to say no, but I don't know what it's from.
Daniel?
A man addicted to sadness. I'm going to say it's the Greek Freaks. They like that shit.
Scott?
I'm going to say no, and I think that's one out of your mind right there. I think that's a kind of original.
Edwin?
Repeat the question.
The story of a man who feels happy only when he is unhappy, a man addicted to sadness.
That Tom Hanks movie, Otto. There we go.
Well,
Otto.
you're wrong. This is not a Yorgos thing, but it's a movie written by Efthimis Philippou, so it's my only non-Yorgos Greek freak movie.
Okay.
But it is one of his movies. He kind of wrote a couple movies, it looks like, sort of in the gap between Killing and writing Killing and writing Kinds. And I think Kinds of Kindness they actually wrote a long time ago.
Yeah, they definitely did. Yeah, you're right.
Daniel, Thymios? I don't know how to pronounce these Greek names. Thymios finally has sex with his friend Eris's mom the same day Eris dies in a plane accident.
It seems. I guess I'll say. I'm gonna say no. I feel like that's too many weird. You'd throw me off with the Greek details. Zero concept of what it could be, though.
Scott?
I'm gonna say no. I think that was an episode of Dawson's Creek.
Edwin?
Casey hooked up.
Risky Business.
Brian, I'm taking that as a guess for not the Greek Freaks, so I think that's fair. So
you haven't seen the Yorgos version of that though? It's really crazy. I'm gonna say it's Yorgos, and I think it's one of his features that I haven't seen. It's like, can you remind me of like his first three features, or is that cheating?
My Best Friend, Kinetta, Dogtooth.
Oh, it's the one after Dogtooth. I think it begins with an A. Burrow.
Well, I'll just go ahead and say you're wrong. Attenborough is a movie he produced. This is a thing that I made up. In fact, I was thinking of concepts, and I thought of a concept I like so much I decided not to use it because I was like, this is actually pretty good. I want to make this. It's got a really good title. My friends, you guys stick around afterwards, and I'll tell you guys. Whew, burping. Scott, this is the last of this. This is the way longest round. The other rounds are a lot shorter. Scott, a group of traveling players tour through Greece, putting on a play called Golfo the Shepherdess.
That is a Yorgos. The Greek Freaks.
Edwin?
Repeat the question again.
Question.
A group of traveling players tour through Greece, putting on a play called Golfo the Shepherdess.
Ocean's 12.
Brian?
I don't know what it's from, but I'm going to say not Yorgos or not the Greek Freaks.
Daniel?
Yeah, I'll say no as well.
The no's have it. This is a movie called The Traveling Players by like a sort of famous Greek filmmaker whose name escapes me because I didn't write it down. Right now, Scott, you're at 8 points. Edwin and Brian at 10. Daniel, you got 16. You're fucking crushing it. I think you got like every single one of those right.
I'm not cheating. I'm texting Alex just to make it clear. We're talking Hot Fuzz trailers.
You're just getting answers from Alex. You're just texting Alex.
Yeah.
Please text me so fast.
All right, we got 3 multiple choice questions. These are going to give a multiplier to your previous score. So 1 correct guess gets you 1.5, 2 gets you a 2, 3 a 3. First question. Which of these was not a play Yorgos directed? We'll start with Edwin. Platonov, DDD, Bluebeard, or Aegisphere?
I want to say Bluebeard. Yeah, Bluebeard.
Brian?
Can you repeat them again?
A, Platonov, B, DDD, C, Bluebeard, and D, Aegisphere.
I don't know. I'm going to go for like the... I'll stick with that one. Just to do it.
Daniel?
Platonov, DDD,
Bluebeard, Aegisphere. Or Aegisphere. It's like the word age and sphere mashed up into one word.
I will guess that one. Aegisphere.
Scott?
I'm also going to go with Bluebeard.
Daniel, damn, I don't know how you got that one.
Really?
I made up Aegisphere. That's some bullshit. That's not a real thing. I just made that. I was looking at those.
The only thing where I was like, that sounds kind of, maybe that's a different language. I don't know.
Brian, you're starting this one. What was Jorg professionally in his late teens before he had to quit because of health reasons? A scuba diver, B, a basketball player, C, a horse wrangler, or D, a chemical lab technician?
I'm just picturing what that would be like.
It's crazy that one of these is true.
Yeah, I think makes kind of sense in a weird way is scuba diving.
Daniel?
One more time.
It's scuba diver, basketball player, horse wrangler, chemical lab technician.
I'm gonna go basketball player.
And Scott?
I was also thinking basketball player.
Edwin?
I'm gonna say none of them are real.
Well, I'll go ahead and say this. Edwin's definitely wrong. It's basketball player. He played basketball professionally as like an 18, 19, 20-year-old.
Isn't basketball huge in Greece too? I think like there's a lot.
It's really big. It's like it's like baseball in Japan or something where it's like
he talked about it on one of the commentaries too that he had done it. I didn't know it was professional. That was something he was really into it.
Yeah, he was in like a professional club. Like he wasn't in the top level, but in like the secondary level.
I just remember like looking at him and like, he could have played basketball, but also I could see him like them going like, okay, you're done. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, apparently he injured his like knee or something.
And then he like spent all of his recovery time watching stuff, and then moved into film and TV instead.
That's a guy who knows an injury.
Same, but mine was just I don't want to play sports anymore.
Yeah, I just kind of put a pin in my ankle and just said, I just cried about it.
So, Daniel, we're gonna start with you on this one. Y'all are such big fucking Yorgos fans. What's his wife's name? A. Dominika Petrikis, B. Aurora Monroe, C. Ariana Lebed, or D. Jean Grey.
None of them have the same last name. Is this a trick question?
No, it's not. It is one of those four. I'm not tricking you guys. It is one of those four. Wouldn't it be funny if Yorgos was married to someone named Jean Grey?
That'd be awesome.
Dominika Petrikis, Aurora Monroe, Ariane Lebed, and Jean Grey.
Edwin, pick a number between 1 and 4.
what?
Pick a number
3.
between 1 and 4. 3, the third one.
Scott?
Jean Grey.
You're gonna go with Jean Grey?
I want to believe where he's married.
Edwin?
I'm going to say all CIA.
Brian?
Whichever one sounded closest to Ariana Grande.
The Ariana Lebed?
That one.
Well, I will go ahead and say that, yeah, Daniel and Brian guessing Ariana Lebed, she is in fact his wife. She's the gymnast in Alps. And she was a star
Is she from Greece as well?
Yeah, she was. She's the star of Attenberg, that movie you were talking about that he produced, and that's how they met. I will say I pulled a little trick. Obviously, Jean Grey is Jean Grey from the X-Men, but Aurora Monroe is Storm's name, and Dominika Petrikis is a feminized version of Avalanche's name from X-Men. So wow. I was doing a little prank on y'all there. So. Now, Jesus.
I think you just didn't randomly decide to say Jean Grey. That's
what
I was curious about.
The perfect level of maybe? That's a little too specific.
Yeah. So going into round 3, this Final Jeopardy question, which it works like Final Jeopardy. I'm going to give you all a category. Y'all will make a secret wager. Be cool about it. I'll read the question. Y'all write a secret answer. Then I'll call on each of you to reveal your wagers and answers. Scott, you have 12 points to wager. Edwin, 15. Brian, 10. Daniel.
Wait, I'm sorry. I'm losing to Edwin in this game.
I know. I don't know how that's possible either. Like, I genuinely don't know.
Scott, 12. Edwin, 15. Brian, 10. Daniel, you somehow have 48.
How is that possible?
What is the point system?
Why are we playing this then?
Final Jeopardy. I can wager everything. It doesn't mean a goddamn thing.
I'm gonna think. In my mind, I didn't know a lot about this man, but now I feel slightly confident.
I think you just got all of those questions right, and so it was like literally like you maxed, And to be fair, you had like a 50% chance for most of those questions and a 25% chance for the other ones. But let's just start. So category. Again, like I said, Scott, you've got 12. Edwin, you've got 15 to wager. You know what I'm talking about, Jeopardy style. You're wagering points. Brian, 10. Daniel, 48. The category is movies Yorg likes. So make your wager. You can just do it in your head or whatever. I'll give you all a second for how many of your points you want to wager, and be cool and don't change it.
Wait, and we just have to mention a movie he likes?
No, that's the category, and you're making the wager. And I'm going to give you the full question in a second.
Okay. Sorry.
I'm pretty sure that's how Final Jeopardy works usually.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
So everyone has their wager, how much they're betting.
Yeah.
What film released from 2005 to 2015 did Jorg say this about? It's a masterpiece of this type of cinema. It's perfect, pure action, no bullshit dialogue. It's action to the highest degree of beauty and perfection. I think he, meaning the director, is a very good director. And I'll give you guys a hint. He is not talking about a movie that we recently talked about on Cinema Curse.
All right.
So think about how merciful of a game master I am for that hint.
And you also
absolutely.
And it's a film that you're saying spans between a bunch of years. So you're telling me there's more than one, and this is a series of films. Is that correct? Am I guessing
It was released between 2000?
No, it was one film released between 2005 and 2015. Though I am not saying it might be. It might be part of a series, or it might not be necessarily.
And what was his quote one more time?
It's a masterpiece of this type of cinema. It's perfect, pure action, no bullshit dialogue. It's action to the highest degree of beauty and perfection. I think he, meaning the director, is a very good director. And he's not talking about a movie we've talked about recently on this show, which is, I think, a pretty big hint because...
Yes. So that would have been my guess.
I feel like if I didn't give that hint, I'd be like explicit. I thought about making the range like a different range that would like exclude that movie potentially, or some sort of, but I was like, well, all right, Scott, what did you wager and what are you guessing?
I wagered all 12 points. And I am going to say
what was that? Deadpool. Edwin, how much did you wager and what did you guess?
X-Men 2016. No, not Deadpool.
I
whatever. I don't know.
I wager 15,000, Alex.
Okay, so all of
it. 15,000, Alex. What is Amadeus?
Brian?
So far, neither of us have guessed a movie within the...
I wagered 0, and I wrote that this is rigged. This is a rigged game.
Daniel?
I wagered 4, and I wrote The Raid.
So the final score is nobody got it right. Scott, Edwin, you guys both got 0 points and so do not receive medals. Daniel, you'll get a gold. Brian, a silver. He was talking about The Bourne Ultimatum. A movie.
Honestly, that makes weird.
Okay.
Like that just somehow I feel like a guy like that is gonna get lost in something.
I mean, actually makes sense, honestly. Like Paul Greengrass is a respected director.
Yeah.
And like those Bourne movies, especially the 2 ones that he made, are like no bullshit. Just like, I'd say they're exactly what he describes. I personally like the second one better, but like, I would agree with that quote. Like, I knew it was gonna be something like random like that. Like I knew it was gonna be like amazing. Like that's why I kind of said like Deadpool. Like it was gonna be something.
Edwin, because I am actually nice, I don't want to put you on the spot. Do you have anything that you could show off for your cool stuff, or do you want me to skip that segment?
I got rentals.
That's not cool.
Rentals.
That's not cool. I'm sorry, but like merch, when we're doing a canon episode in 2 weeks for our 1 year anniversary, you got to find some actually cool shit because we're like designing that episode around you, Edwin. But that's cool. No, I know I'm putting you on the spot because you're not at your place. So quickly, let's move on for a very quick. Nope. Hit the wrong one. There we go. It's a quick Dune date. After last week's Dune date, people can watch that from Twin Peaks Club Volume 5. Jason went and revisited the old sci-fi miniseries and found it lacking. So I'm not going to say I won that argument. I'm not going to say that we didn't have a much longer conversation about Dune, but it's sort of like I won that argument. Also, as part of my sort of anything else shout outs, because it's Dune related, I've been playing Dune Imperium. Sorry, I'm burping way too much. Fucking Rick over here. Dune Imperium is a board game turned video game. You can get it on Steam. It's really good if you like. It's kind of it's a resource game. It's a worker placement game, sort of like Catan, but a little more complicated. But it's got this deck building component to it. It's really cool. Been just playing it a lot against the AI, and yeah, that's the Dune date. Anything else you guys got?
I just got dipped in yesterday. It's the damn it.
Let's see.
It's the Love Lies soundtrack. Okay, it's really a great.
Sick.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Opened it up, but Clint Mansell, he did a wonderful job with it, and I can't wait to get into it.
I got COVID.
Hell yeah.
That was annoying. I'm good now, but that kind of pissed me off.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to little Barnes and Noble, and I got a few little things, and that was cool.
Get?
Honestly, was embarrassed when I left. I had some gift cards, which makes it better, but
yeah.
It was a sizable stack in a way that when I was like checking out, I felt deep shame. So they're like, "Oh, this is really neat," and I was like, "Oh, wait, actually."
I feel similarly. I've had some gift cards to like websites I go to, and I've been getting there's this Marvel miniatures game, Crisis Protocol, and I've probably bought a little too many sets than I should have. But hey, whatever.
That's so funny. Go ahead.
No, I just want to put these guys together. I actually just got hold on a second. I'm gonna have to.
Well, Connor's getting that.
A little. Yeah. Let's see if it'll show. This little.
There you go.
You can kind of see it. It's sand.
Filter's too powerful.
Electro and Sandman and Shocker and Vulture. So little miniatures, and the Sandman one especially is cool looking because it's like. Let me see if I go back right here. You can kind of see. God damn it. Clearly, okay, there we go. You can see it has these like big, like little extra pieces. Like he has his little sand minions and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So I'm excited to put these together.
Yeah.
But yeah.
My big thing is one of my favorite authors. He did the Magician's trilogy, which I didn't watch much of the show, but the book's really good. He hasn't had a book in like 8 years, and he just dropped yesterday his first new book called The Bright Sword by Lev Grossman, and it's a retelling of King Arthur where a knight shows up to the round table, but I believe everyone's dead, and so he has to like the world now, Camelot now exists without the Knights of the Round Table, and he is now this knight. Is my assumption of the thing, but it's very good so far. I'm like a quarter through.
Oh yeah.
I did forget to say when I was introducing this segment, I'd like a motherfucking end to genocide and a free Palestine. I know, Scott, you keep wanting to insert something.
Oh yeah. All right, I'm taking over the show for a minute, and we're gonna do Scott's Comic Corner. Woo!
Oh yeah. All right. Hold on.
All right.
We gotta have something.
Music make you lose control. Music make you lose control.
It's Scott's Comic Corner.
Just imagine there's a bump right there. There's a little bumper coming right in. It's fine.
I mean, this is basically how we've done all the other segments on this. So. Yeah. Okay. No, you can continue. Continue.
Okay. You said we were going to have something. So, I've been getting back into comics recently. For DC, I'm really only reading Superman, and the new issue came out today. They're currently doing something over at DC, Absolute Power. Amanda Waller has stolen all the powers from the Supes, and they're at war with her. Cool, but unfortunately, because I'm not reading all the tie-ins, I've been really enjoying the Superman story. They started last year with Superman 1 again, and the story's been quite interesting. Lex is in jail, and he left his business to Superman. So now Superman is working with LexCorp, renamed Supercorp, And he's at first suspicious, but it seems as though Lex has actually left him the business in earnest, and everybody that works there wants to work with Superman. And it's been an interesting story. I've enjoyed it so much. But it's been a little like the problem with Superman lately is that like tie-ins lately, like this is a tie-in to Absolute Power. And then the last story they did was like a crossover between that and Action Comics, which I wasn't reading. So
yeah,
I'll be looking forward to when they get back to just the storyline they've been telling.
Yeah.
Over at Marvel, I've been enjoying the Daredevil run. Daredevil died. He came back to life. But part of his soul got ripped out, and the 7 deadly sins have now affected other Marvel characters, and he has to fight them to send those to hell. The reason I'm bringing that up is because they've started a new series, a spin-off series called Daredevil, Woman of Fear, or Woman Without Fear. Elektra is the female devil. She is in the new Daredevil series. And this is a spin-off. They're not terribly related yet. I thought there were going to be more. I read like the latest Daredevil issue that came out last week. He fought Bullseye. Elektra was almost left for dead, and I thought this was going to be a continuation, but this seems to take place a few months before the Daredevil storyline is coming. So, but the real things I want to talk about is Marvel is starting over with the X-Men.
Yep.
Last fall they were doing the Fall of X, which I did not read, just too much stuff. But now they're starting over, and they're doing the thing Marvel knows how to do best: oversaturating the market. So there's a lot of X books coming out.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get some of them. I might get like issue 1 of all of them, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Last week was X-Men, the first one. It starts off with, and I wasn't following the show, like Krakoa, I think that's called.
Yeah, that's a whole other episode.
Yeah,
I'd have to talk about that for hours.
Okay. Essentially, just to like fallen, the X-Men have split up, not split up, but as in like they're all over the place.
Scattered to the wind.
In one island. They're scattered. That's a good place for it. X-Men takes place in Alaska, where they've set up shop in an old Sentinel factory. It's just the first issue, so this one features Cyclops, Juggernaut, who I did not realize is now an X-Men. Magneto is there, Beast is there, and a few other new characters. So I'm looking forward to reading that. And then the continuing next series, Phoenix came out today. And just, again, new series, obviously starring Yorgos' wife, Jean Grey. And I like it. Again,
you were mentioning Elektra earlier. I almost used that name as one of the fake wife names earlier, but I was like, I think people would have done that.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll be interested to see where they go with the new X-Men series. I know they're gonna do Uncanny X-Men, X-Force. Those two I might look into. There's also X-Factor. A lot of X stuff coming up. So I think like 4 X books might be enough for me. But good stuff in the comics. I'm happy to get back in there and be reading them. So
yeah,
that's out.
It's cool. I've been getting Jonathan Hickman. He did the Krakoa era, and I really love the beginning of the Krakoa era. But it was one of those things where like people clearly got really infatuated with the possibilities of that story beyond what like his story was. And it kind of like got away from him, and by the end he just wasn't even really involved with like the X-Men books anymore. And he's now running the new Ultimate books over at Marvel and stuff. But I am curious about the new stuff because I know it's more of like a kind of return to a little more basics and stuff.
It does feel very like especially having watched X-Men 97, particularly the X-Men.
Yeah,
what I got last week, X-Men feels like they're really trying to like give it that sort of feel.
But yeah, no, it sounds cool. I definitely want to check out. Especially, I'm curious about that Phoenix miniseries. Or is it a miniseries or is it an ongoing?
It seems like it's going to be an ongoing.
Okay, cool.
I'll be curious to see how, because there's, like I said, they are doing a lot of X stuff. So I'll be curious to see like what is ongoing and what ends up being just like a mini.
Well, it's just so interesting because there's so many X-Men characters and so many of them are not characters you would think as hosting their own ongoing. Like Wolverine, obviously, he can get an ongoing. You know, there's certain other characters, but even like Cyclops is a character where you don't really think of him as like.
No,
you don't think of him as
of a group.
He's the leader of like a group comic, not really like the star of an ongoing. And I kind of feel that way about Jean, where I like, in a lot of ways, like I think of her as more of an ensemble character, but it's interesting.
Feels like, just from reading this first one, it feels like it's going to have kind of a Captain Marvel feel of her like exploring the cosmos.
That's cool.
Really becoming one with that, and also she's like looking for redemption for just being the fucking when she's Dark Phoenix. So I think there's enough. I definitely know what you mean. And I was surprised when I saw that Phoenix was getting her own series. But I'm reading that first issue. I was like, okay, I'll see where we'll go.
That's cool. Well, yeah, I think that's the end of the episode. I do want to say, Croc in the chat, and by the way, the women are always saving the men around here. You might want to think about changing the name to X-Women. I think that's a line from one of the Bryan Singer X-Men movies.
That's from Phoenix. No, that's from Dark Phoenix.
Oh, Dark Phoenix? Oh, okay.
That's Jennifer Lawrence's line, yeah.
Nice. And a much more serious note, I do want to say rest in peace to my friend Kathleen, who passed away in between this and the previous episode. Love you, Kathleen. And we'll end the episode from there because I don't know where to go from there. But in 2 weeks, we're going to be doing, it's going to be our 1 year anniversary, roughly, for Cinema Curse. And so our 1 year anniversary, me and Edwin are hammering out exactly what the films are. I think one of the films, for sure, one of the two films is going to be Over the Top, the Sylvester Stallone movie. Are you at least okay with that, Edwin?
I mean, I would have gone with Cobra, but Over the Edge.
You literally fucking gave me a list with that movie on it and not Cobra.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Cobra in there.
This is the most mad I've ever been with you. Like, what are you talking about?
Over the Top is a decent canon movie. I
literally asked you to give me a list of canon movies we could talk about, and you put Over the Top and not Cobra. If you had put Cobra instead of Over the Top, I probably would have also said, let's watch Cobra. So do you want to watch Cobra instead of Over the Top?
No, I'll watch Over the Top. I actually love Over the Top.
I'm gonna burn your house down, Edwin, with you inside. But yeah, in 2 weeks we're gonna be doing our 1 year anniversary episode, Return to Cannon Mountain, and that'll be talking about Over the Top and another movie that me and Edwin will figure out. Twin Peaks Club will be back in 3 weeks. With the first week of August, episodes 22 to 25. Basically, we're going up to the point where the episode we're ending at ends with a character in a cave, if people know. If you know, you know, as they say online. I want to thank Brian here for composing our outro. And please like and subscribe. Our Mad Max episode has done surprisingly well. Like most of our, like it's gotten like 10 times the amount of views on YouTube. Wow. I genuinely wonder if it was because we waited until Furiosa was available on streaming. And because we released it like that week. And so if not that I think we would have gotten a Kinds of Kindness streaming bump. To be honest, it's a little more obscure of a movie. There was probably more people that week like searching YouTube for Furiosa content. But yeah, like and subscribe. We're on TikTok and Instagram at CinemaCurse666. Share this episode with your local gym coach. And I think that's about it. Thank you guys for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.